we are live. Good evening and welcome at the Meticulous Moments podcast, where we facilitate community upliftment through leadership development. And this evening, we have the wonderful privilege of spending time with the amazing Daz Stirrat. Good evening, Daz. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Good evening, and thank you for having me on your wonderful show.
It's a pleasure, Daz. Now, we've talked, I know you, and we had so much to discuss, because of martial arts that unite us. But for those in the audience that might not be acquainted with you yet, I'm just going to read your biography so that they can learn a little bit more about you. I'm going to read Daz's biography here that he sent. And he says, I started boxing at 4 years old at the Little Hampton Boys Club, where my brothers also trained. Our father was one of the coaches, and we were made to work extra hard. And karate was also at the club, and I started karate alongside my boxing. I did very well with boxing, and I won Henry Copper's golden belts at the age of 8. But karate was where I wanted to be, and I've never looked back, and I've now been training in Shotokan karate for 44 years. That's a long time, Daz. At the age of 15, I decided to open my own club with my brothers, and I joined the English Karate Organization, where I stayed for many years and graded all my belts up to 7th Dan. I was very successful as a competitor from 1989 to 1999. I won the EKO National and European Karate Championships for Kata. I also won many, many more titles, too many to mention. I've been teaching for many years, and I decided to start my own club and take a big step to being on my own in 2018. I've coached my squad members at many competitions, and I've had students become national, European, and world champions at the EKO Championships and the FSKA World Championships, just a few to mention. We've been super successful, and I'm proud of my students' achievements. In May 2022, I was nominated for the UK Martial Arts Hall of Fame Awards by Bob Sykes and Paul Barnett, and then again in October 2022. In January of 2023, I was nominated for an International Hall of Fame Award. Again, I've been nominated for the UK Martial Arts Hall of Fame Award this May 2023, and I recently was nominated for the 18th London International Martial Arts Hall of Fame. I've also been in the Legends 2 book by John Stephenson, our good friend, and he has asked me to be in his book Legends 3, which is a great honor. I'm also in the 55th edition of The World's Greatest Martial Artist by Ted, and I hope I pronounced this correctly, Gambordella, which is also super amazing. Only recently, Neil Palmer, the author, has asked if I would like to be in his book. The Warrior's Path 2. Again, this is such an honor, as these authors are also world-class martial artists. I'm so grateful to be part of the martial arts, and I will continue to grow as a student and teach what I love. Renshi Darren Stirrat, 7th Dan, Hampshire Academy of Shotokan Karate. Welcome, Daz. It's so good to have you here.
Thank you for having me. It's wonderful to be recognized a little bit and get my name out so people can actually know who I am and what I'm about. And that's why I'm here today, to tell everybody who I am.
That's amazing. That's amazing. We are definitely in the presence of a legend. 44 years to have, just invested your time, your passion, your energy, the blood, the sweat, the tears that go with martial arts life and training hard. And I wanted to ask you, tell us more about your journey. You started, when you were 4, you started boxing, but you were drawn to karate. Tell us about that process.
Yeah, there was just something about karate that sort of attracted me. I think it was because there was the instructor that was teaching at the time. I remember his first name. It was Brian, and he was doing these fantastic stances, and he was doing all these kicks, and it just captivated me. I just couldn't take my eyes off of it. So my father let me join whilst I was doing the boxing, because I was a very, very good boxer for my age. And my eldest brother, he was an exceptional boxer. So yeah, it just captured me. I just wanted to do the karate, and that's how it all started. That's when me as a person had developed and started to grow. So yeah, it's just, I love it. It's who I am. I can't explain it anymore. Karate is my blood type.
Yes, I was going to get to that because, you and I had our virtual coffee. And let me tell you, audience, the moment we started talking martial arts, I mean, it was just a wonderful conversation. And I remember you saying karate is your blood type. And then I remember my reply, and I said, when you are a martial artist and you start talking with another martial artist, it's kind of like there's this knowing, there's this understanding. I don't know how to describe it, but we it's almost like this energetic signature that we have. You know when you're talking to someone that knows their art, that knows their skill, and it's almost like we understand and look at the world in a different manner. And that's such a cool thing to take into consideration.
Yeah, definitely. I think anybody that does any type of martial art, there's always a connection, whether you do judo, whether you do
Yes.
karate, kickboxing. At the end of the day, it's a different style, but it all leads to the same destination. So it doesn't matter.
That's it.
I'm a great believer that every martial art has its good to give, and you should try
Yes.
lots of styles and not just stick to your one. It's very important to
Yes.
cross train, if you like, because otherwise you'll get bored. And I'm sorry to say that, but I got to a point even with my karate, I was getting bored and I needed something else.
Yeah.
So I took up
Yeah.
capoeira, and and then
Oh,
it just
yes.
gave me that little bit more.
Oh my goodness, I've seen capoeira online before. I've never trained in capoeira, but I agree with you. It's good that we expose ourselves to different styles. I started the Meticulous Martial Arts Mastermind for exactly that reason, because our founding members are all from different styles. And we do training. We train each other. We give everybody has that chance to do a presentation or a training session. Sometimes we talk about kickboxing, and sometimes we do qigong, and sometimes we learn about jiu-jitsu, especially how the Gracies teach it. And it's just amazing to see how your general knowledge about the martial art, your breathing, your body, the principles that martial arts represent, how that grows. And I think that's part of the journey, because I feel, and that's me personally, my personal opinion, once you're a martial artist, you'll always want to go back to the martial arts. It's just a part of you, it just becomes a part of your life.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think it's very, very important that if we look back 30 years ago, you were not allowed to go and train anywhere else apart from your own club. The instructors or the senseis, they didn't like you going anywhere else. You were theirs and that was it. And I think as
Yes.
times have moved forward, we have to move forward, because if we don't, we're going to be left behind. But I don't,
Yes.
I don't want to lose the tradition. It's so important.
Yes.
You need your core, and a lot of a lot of martial arts clubs
Foundation.
now, it's all sport karate,
Yeah.
and
That's it.
I'm one of these. I believe that the tradition needs to be brought back. We need to bring it alive again,
Yeah.
because we have lost it
Yeah.
through sport karate.
That's the truth. That's the truth. Our mission actually at MAM, that's what I call the group, is to keep those core values alive, to really, keep that authenticity. Now, at our dojo here in South Africa, we do kata, we do kumite, we do self defense, boxing, kickboxing, weapons bladed and wooden. We do the bunkai as well. Because I think it's important for the martial artists to understand we do the kata, of course, but what does that move mean in essence? What are you really doing to your opponent? Are you blocking? Are you striking? And you mentioned sport karate. And with us, it forms a very small part of our year. We go to the tournaments, but we don't train just for the tournaments. We train because we learn the history, we learn the stances, the names of the stances, what is the strength and the function of each stance. We train the bunkai of the move. So I agree with you 100%. We have to keep that tradition alive, because it was originally not made for sport, and a lot of the practical applications of some of these moves, they don't look as pretty as the katas look when we go to a tournament or a all styles or a nationals, because it's going to be different when you fight someone on the street.
Very much so. And I think, especially kata was always my forte. I was always very, very good at kata in competition. And I believe that there's two types of kata. You've got your kata that you would perform in your dojo, and then you've got kata that you'll perform for a competition. And where it differs is competition, you've got to make it look smooth, you've got to make it look pretty. Whereas with your dojo, it's about showing the moves to be aggressive in a controlled manner, but giving that more. It doesn't really matter if it's not, fluent or nice. It's about the power, the kamai. That's what it's about.
Yes.
And that's where it's been lost a little bit, especially when you look at the WKF, and they're bringing in katas, which I've never heard of before. And it's because they're making these katas up, they're making them a lot harder. And for me, it's not the tradition. I'm sorry, and I'm probably going to upset a lot of karateka out there, but I believe in my heart that we should keep it to what it should be.
Yeah, there's a reason why it sprouted, why it started, and why the old masters put it together the way it was. I agree with you. And for us in our style, Shorin Ru, Shorin Kan, we do the Pinan Shotan, Nidan, Sandan, Yondan, Godan, and then you go over to Pasisho, Pasetai, and the other black belt kata. What are the types of katas that you teach in Shotokan? Because I believe our styles are a lot alike.
Yeah, very much alike. The belt system, I think, is about the same. Obviously, you start off as a white belt, and then you go to your red belt, your yellow belt, your orange belt, your green belt, your blue belt, your purple belt, and then obviously you got your brown belt, and then your brown and white, and then your brown double white, and then you get to your Dan, your first Dan black belt. Kata's hien. So we do hien. As in, obviously, the first kata would be Kion. I think in some styles it's Takeyoku Shodan. And then we have Hien Shodan, Hien Nidan, Hien Sandan, Hien Yondan, Hien Godan, Teki Shodan, Basai Dai, and then it would be MP, Jion, Jite, Kankudai, Basai Sho, and so forth, to all 26 Shotokan katas, right the way up to Mikio, Chinte, Soushin, Hangetsu, Unsu, all of them. Yeah, there's a lot of katas.
Oh, I know. That's a lot of kata, and listen to how closely related they really are. Pasisho, Basisho, Usu, we do one su. It's very, and the belt system really is, exact same. So that's very interesting. Absolutely great to be able to walk into that dojo. I consider it a privilege to be able to do martial arts, because I've seen the change not only in my life but in my children and in my business. It really reaches into every single area of our lives. I believe that it should actually, I've been saying this for years, I believe that they should actually bring some form of martial arts into the schools, because it can help with discipline, it can help with it building up of that resilience, courage, self-confidence. There's so many positive things that martial arts bring into a child's life as well as a grown karateka. What would your, what was some of the changes, the radical changes that you saw in some of your students over the years that really stuck with you?
Yeah, I've taught a lot of students over the years, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, and we have all types of people come into our dojo. So we have a lot of children that suffer with ADHD. We have just normal learning difficulties, confident issues. So, we get all clubs, martial arts schools get this, and I think when a child first comes to your dojo and the parents say, my child's very, weary of people, not very confident. And then 6 months down the line, you see that child out there performing katas, kumite, doing all these techniques and everything. It really gives you a buzz, and it makes you very proud of what you've achieved as much as they've achieved, because you work together, and that's very important. And the children are tomorrow's future.
That's it. We have to recognize that fact. And I read something in your bio. I read that you are teachable and you'll always stay that way. And I love that. I heard someone say, I was actually training in Sifu. Shout out to Sifu Raphael. He's in my MAM group. I was training in his dojo. I'd gone to New Jersey for a public speaking event. And I said to him, Sifu, I want to come and train with you in New York in your dojo. And we trained, and we did a lot of classes that evening to get as much as possible in. I learned a kung fu form, and we did the staff, and it was just amazing. There was lots of things, boxing class as well. And we walked in his dojo, and he looked at me and he said, Juanita, I'll always be a white belt. And I loved that, because really at the end of the day, we are just white belts. There's always something new to learn. There's always something new to discover. There's always a move that we can work on and make better and apply maybe in a better way. So I'm thinking, at the kids that we bring in. We've been talking about the children, the kids that we really bring into the dojo. Now, in our dojo, there's a little boy that when he started his kata, his martial arts journey, when we did kata, he was so scared. He used to do kata with his gum guard in, and I would be, facilitating the class. And I had to really try not to laugh at the cuteness every time I turned around, and he's, the gum guard's halfway out of the mouth because he's trying to breathe and he's trying to do the moves, and well done, But what are some of the fondest memories that you have when working with your team, with working with children? Something that you think back of that maybe was funny, or something that really struck you, as one of the instructors and the sensei of the renshi. I know in your style, you are a renshi. We have a sensei.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing for me was taking my team to the FSKA World Championships. I think it was in 2018. And a lot of my students, we're not ready we can never do this. This is too big for us. And I said to him, look, let me make that decision. You just go out there and do what you do. That's work hard. And we came away with 24 medals that day. And over the weekend, we come back with 22 medals. I think there was 8 gold medals, 4 silver medals, etc. And it was, the moment for me was, we've got a student called Jade Freer. I'm going to do a shout out for her. Jade Freer, you are an amazing young lady, and you're going to go on and on and on, and you're going to be super amazing, and you are super amazing. And she is what we call she's the trophy magnet. Every competition she's gone to, she always comes back with something, and she is seriously, she's super, super amazing. She reminds me of me when I was younger. She's got that, she wants it, and she wants to just keep going. So yeah, Jade Freer, you're one for the future, girl. one for the future.
I love
Yeah.
that. I love. Yeah. Amazing, amazing. Thank you, Daz. And you and I, when we discussed this interview, we talked about the fact that at some point, I believe you held a title for 10 years. It was a decade that you held the title, and then you started fighting against your own students, and you had to protect that title. And that was quite interesting to me. So tell the audience a little bit about that. I mean, that's a tough one because, I mean, they're your students.
Yeah, so in 1989, I entered the first EKO European Championships, and I was performing Kata, Angdu, and Kumite. But obviously, Kata was always my strongest point, and I sort of really was homing in on the Kata. The Kumite, sometimes, come on, let's be fair, it's lucky if you win sometimes. So I'd done very well, and I held the title for 10 years. I never got beaten Kata for 10 years. And
Wow.
The thing was, in that 10-year span, I had students which were training with me, which were also now becoming black belts. So they were in the same category as me. So the pressure was 10 times more, because my students were saying, well, what happens if we beat you, Sensei? And I'm thinking, I didn't really think about it, but it's going to look pretty strange, isn't it? And so I had to be the best. I had to be the best that I could possibly be. And and I did. I retired from that competition undefeated as the EKO National and European champion for Kata in 10 years.
That's amazing. 10 years is a long time to hold that title. That is phenomenal. And we do the same 26 katas. I believe that we also have 26 in our style, and it's almost as if it's the same kata, it's the same moves, but really when you take that kata, you make it your own, because there's no one else in the world that will do that kata exactly the way you do it now. I want to ask you, in those 10 years, was there a recurring kata that you love to do, or did you mix it up every year? What was your strategy?
Well, there's a story. I'll tell you the story. It's really, really interesting. So I remember I was training. I was doing the kata unsu, and I'd just changed it because I used to like performing the likes of Gankoku and MP. They were the katas, my go-to katas. So I was practicing unsu for 6 months solid, just go over it and over it. My father, he was my coach as well. And I got out to the competition. It always happened. I go out, they say to me, name your kata you're going to do. And the first word that comes out of my mouth was MP. So instead of doing the unsu, I did MP. So yeah. And it happened every time.
That happens. It does happen.
Yeah.
I've seen it a million times.
So, but it's to be fair, I did practice every kata. I know the katas inside out, and we do little tests. Yeah. We do tests in the dojo, so the students will name a number to a particular kata, and I'll go straight to that move that number is.
Wow, that is fantastic. Now that's knowing a kata. Because sometimes, the kids, for instance, they'll do it 10 times and they'll be like, no, I know it. No. You don't know it. You're going to do it 1,000 times more. And then you're still going to learn more about the kata, because then you still have the bunkai, and, there's always something to learn. And we've got a special guest, a surprise guest in the green room. I want to bring him on, because he is very well acquainted with you. I would like for you, Daz, to introduce him to the audience, please.
Yeah, this is one of my senior instructors for Hampshire Academy of Shotokan Karate, and he's an absolute asset, and he's my best friend ever. And I've known him for many, many years, and it's Guy Shepherd.
Thank you.
Guy, welcome, Guy. Please tell us more about yourself.
Well, I started training in Shotokan Karate at the age of 12. And then I did other things with my life, went off and joined the Navy and stuff like that. So karate become on the sides, but then I came back into it in about 20 years ago. And then I met my Renchi, and we've been best friends ever since. Not only my best friend, but my instructor.
That is amazing, amazing. So tell us a few stories about each other. Let's go with Daz. Daz, what is one of the stories that you remember about you and Guy? Maybe a memory from the dojo that you guys talk about often.
There's probably quite a few of them. I think the best one was we were doing some kumite, and we were teaching ushiogeri back kick. And
for sure.
Guy walked into my back kick, and he was sore for about 6 months after it. I'm so sorry, Guy.
I can honestly say, the students know this as well, but that kick the pain lasted for 6 months from that kick. really, the power.
Back kick. Wow. Yeah, Guy, tell us about a story that you can remember about Daz, something that happened in the dojo. You guys have been walking quite a good road together.
So many. I can't think of one at the moment. Sorry, I can't think of one at the moment. There's so much
what I'm
gone
thinking?
on.
You think about that painful kick now. That's why. That pain lasted for six months. That's a long time. I have to say, I was in a... Yeah?
It didn't break a rib, but it penetrated into the muscle. And, that really...
Yeah. Well, that was a well-executed kick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think another funny moment was the way that we actually met as friends. Was my daughter, I stopped teaching for a little while because I lost both my parents. I lost my mum, and then 7 weeks later I lost my dad, and I took some time out, but I wanted my daughter to continue training, so we took her to a local club to ours, and Guy was training there. And my daughter used to train in the same group as Guy. And I remember every time they were coming out, because I got to know Guy at this point, I kept teaching them stuff. And the instructor didn't like it that they were training with, and they ended up shutting the door so we couldn't see through. So.
Oh, can I just interrupt? Can I just interrupt there? I've got a funny story for you now. You asked me for a funny story about Darren. Yeah. I remember the time that before the lesson, because I used to teach the kids before the adults, I used to go in early just to speak to Darren. And I remember one time he was showing me some kicks, and he'd done a jumping flying kick just as my instructor walked down the stairs and saw him. The instructor was my instructor at the time. My instructor at the time was sort of like a bit embarrassed because he couldn't do it.
I'm so sorry.
At least he also learned something that day. Oh my goodness. I wanted to ask you about, just working with people in general. And I've seen the transformations. I've seen individuals with incredible anger problems just transform into these disciplined, amazing people that live with integrity, that really follow the martial arts way, that love, at the end of the day, their lives because they feel personally empowered, they feel edified through martial arts. Let's talk a little bit about what martial arts effects you've seen on individuals and how that's really also spoken to you in your journey, Daz.
Yeah, I think for me is, as you know, we have a lot of children come in and adults with problems, whether it be the children with problems at school, outside of sport, and then adults having problems, you know, mental health issues, etc., etc. And I think for me is being there for those people, just being there, you know, when they need a shoulder to cry on, be there for them and guide them and give them all the help that you can, because one day you may need it yourself. So seeing the changes in these children, especially, you know, we've had children that they come into the dojo and they will not even leave their parents' side. So what we do is we say, we just keep bringing that child for a few weeks, whether they do it or not, you just keep bringing them. Then what we do is we introduce ourselves and we start to speak to them, and they start to get to know us a little bit. And before you know it, they're in there doing the session. Yeah. And that's a great achievement, I think, because it's a trust thing. You have to trust each other. It is. That's important, you know. If I didn't trust somebody, then I wouldn't do it. Simple, you know, that's how this world works. Yeah. And for me, I think seeing my students continue to push forward and overcome those barriers and those obstacles and everything, that is the best feeling you can get as an instructor, as a human being, seeing them progress and become something, not be nothing. You know, this was which I said recently in one of my posts that I put up, is I'm a nothing, but one day I will be a something. And I think if you keep, you will do it. You've got to set a goal. You've got to set them tasks, and you've got to push and push and push, and it would eventually be a reality. You know,
that's the truth. That tenacity. You make me smile now, because I took my son to martial arts when he was 5, and he was clingy. He was, you know, he wanted to be with me the whole time. And I took him to I thought the instructor said he's still our Kiyoshi today. I thought he said it's the 5-year-olds that have to be at the dojo at that time. And it turns out when I entered the dojo, it was the grade 5s. So, you know, we sat and we watched the class, and then the next time we went at the appropriate time, and he was clingy. He saw everybody screaming and shouting and jumping and punching. And I remember the Kiyoshi calling him and saying, "Come, Joshua, we want to, you know, let you line up, because we're going to do, you know, we're going to stand in yoi now and start." And he didn't want to go. And I whispered in his ear, "Go stand in the line. Mommy will buy you Lego." You know, but I'm whispering, and he stands there in the middle of the dojo and he says, "I don't want Lego." And we all just started laughing, and that kind of broke the ice. And when he saw everybody was friendly and laughing, he actually went and he stood in the line, you know. So many things, different things work for different children. Yeah. So we have that. Daz, tell us, you know, how you've seen lives transform, because you're also in the dojo regularly. You and I mean, Guy, you and Daz, you always together working at this. What have you seen in people's lives that really stuck with you?
With me?
Yes. Have you seen people's lives transform? Have you seen how martial arts changed them for the better?
Me, yeah. Personally, I've experienced my own kids.
Yeah,
it's all breaking up. My kids, I put my kids in for karate, and this was many years ago. And the confidence that give them was the confidence and memory power. How it improves your memory power. But don't always forget the spiritual side of karate as well. Is what it's all about for me as well.
Oh, interesting points that you make, because we don't only practice the one side, we practice both sides, and that helps the children's brains develop. That's very, very good for their motor skills as well. Thank you so much, Guy. We appreciate you. Thank you for joining in with us today. Let's give him a round of applause. I'm gonna we'll see you at the end of the show. Thank you, Guy. I'll bring you back on. Thank you. And Daz and I just want to talk to Daz a little bit about, here at Meticulous, what we do is we talk about leadership and gratitude and community upliftment. And I want to delve a little bit deeper into your life, and how leadership. Did you have a specific leader in your life that really helped you to find the essentials, those tools that we need in our toolkit, in our toolkit, in our leadership arsenal? Was there someone that stood out? Was it multiple people? Was it the dojo? What was that like for you?
Yeah, I think for me, outside of the dojo was my father. My father was a very sporty man, and he was a hard man as well. He brought us up very, very well, but he was hard, and he always said, if you want to do something, then you've got to reach out and grab it and take it.
Yes.
And he knew that I was good at karate. Look, like I said before, I'm just a student that teaches, but he sees something in me, and he was my backbone. And when I lost my father, there was a big hole, a massive big hole, and there still is now. I haven't really grieved for both my parents, and when I think of my dad, it gets quite tricky for me, because he was always there at every competition. You think I was training, Monday to Friday training, weekends I was competing, and it was constantly that for the majority of my life. I didn't have friends outside because it was all focused on the karate. And my father was, he was my mentor. He was everything. And then inside the dojo, I think for me was my sensei Dave Sharkey, Shihan Dave Sharkey now. He was a very, very hard instructor, and I was quite young when I was first with him. And he used to take me into a room with just me and him, and he would knock me all over the place. And I used to think, why are you doing this to me? Why are you just hitting me and putting me on the floor and telling me to get up? And and my parents, they would say, you're not going with him anymore. We're not going to have you beaten up like that. And I said, no, it's not. And I think he made me just as much as the person I am today than my father, my mother, or anybody else, because he taught me that karate isn't just in here. It's got to be in there. You've got to have it here. And those hard hits that I had, and those, I remember a grading, and he came down to do the grading, and he called me out to demonstrate. And I just come out of a cast. I broke my arm, and it just had the cast off. And he did a technique and re-broke my arm in front of all my students. And but that's the way that it was, And I wasn't mad at him for doing it, because I learned an awful lot from this amazing person. So he made me who I am today, and that is that if you can't take a punch or a kick, then you're in the wrong game.
That's the truth. That's the truth, Daz. I'm thinking of a fight I had last year before our grading, for the end of the year grading. And we were kickboxing. And for that exercise, we were kickboxing, but we were only punching. So you weren't allowed to kick. And I was tired, I worked until 4 a.m. that morning. And, I went there and I was very tired. And I thought, okay, let me just do it. Because sometimes, I'll be honest with the audience, and we all go through this, sometimes it takes a lot of convincing yourself to go, because you also go through life, you go through things, you're maybe not always feeling the same. And I remember stepping into the cage, and I was fighting a guy, and I don't know what was happening with me, but my hands went up, and he just kept punching me in the face. And he kept punching me in the face. And at some point, I got angry, and I gave him a hook. But when I gave him a hook, I could see he felt it. Like I could see his whole demeanor changed. And I thought, okay, well, I'm gonna give him another hook. And then the Kyoshi stopped the fight, and I thought, oh, I lost this one, because you keep punching me in the face just before the hook. I thought, I lost this one, I'll be back tomorrow. That was the self-talk in my mind. And as we were standing and they were announcing the winner, he lifted both our hands. And I looked at him and I thought, my goodness, how on earth could, it's not a draw, because obviously it had more punches. And he said, no, but you could take it. You could take all those punches in the face. You didn't go back. You kept coming forward. And that day I learned a lesson about body conditioning. We've been punched in the face so many times. We are conditioned. It's almost like you don't feel it later at some point. So I was thinking about that, but thank you for sharing. And I wanted to ask you, Daz, with gratitude, I believe that when we have this energy of gratitude in our spirit, in our soul, when I wake up in the morning, that's the first expression I feel. That's the first emotion, because I really am grateful for a new day. And that kind of sets the tone of the energy for my day. And if you had to list something today that you are truly grateful for, it can be anything. What would that one thing be?
Can you explain that again? You just lost you for a second.
What are you grateful for today?
Oh. Well, I am grateful for life. I think because over the last 2 years, I've been really poorly. I've had some health problems which have been life-changing. And I'm on a lot of medication every day, breakfast, meal times and tea times. It's pills. And I think I'm grateful to have the life that I have, because I have a wonderful wife. She is my backbone. She runs Haskell behind the scenes. She does everything. And my kids, my kids, I love them with all my heart. And every day that I've got them and they've got me, then I'm a happy man.
No, that's amazing. I absolutely love that. And as we are in there, it's been such a privilege to have you on Meticulous Moments, Daz. Thank you so much. I know a friendship has been formed here as well. You are part of the Meticulous Moments family now. And as we go into our final minutes, let's bring Guy back, and let's ask both of you for wise words of wisdom before we end the show. Where is our friend? Guy is back.
Hello.
Let's go to Guy first. Guy, do you have any wise words for the audience this evening? Any message you want to leave them with?
If you want to achieve something, practice, and keep practicing. Just keep going. You'll get there in the end.
I love that. And to our wonderful Daz as well. Daz, what words do you want to leave the audience with?
This is the ones that I've got, and this is it. If you first accept defeat, you'll always be a winner.
Oh, that's a very deep one. I agree. And I would like to personally thank you for being here today, sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, your experience, and your heart with the Meticulous Moments podcast. You have really edified the audience. And audience, reach out to Daz, network with him, connect with him, and cheer him on. And with Guy as well, you guys keep on going strong. And really, we've learned so much, and we really highly respect you. So thank you, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, my name is Jose Escobar, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Connected Leaders Academy. We're the #1 fastest growing community and tribe of some of the highest level entrepreneurs all around the country and around the world. We're in 36 states across the U.S., in 11 international countries, and over 240 plus members, growing every single day. And I'm honored, excited, And I'm glad to say that I'm proud to be the official sponsor of the Meticulous Moments podcast with Juanita Kapp. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm excited for this journey.
Hey everybody, my name is Patrick Rude. I'm the owner of Rude Financial Services, a proud sponsor of the Meticulous Moments podcast, hosted and directed by the beautiful, strong, and intelligent Juanita Kapp. I cannot tell you enough about what this woman has done with this podcast and the effect that she has had on me and all of the other sponsors and people that listen. Don't miss it.